This is episode 5, The Problem with Government. Now, I know it's been a while since I've done any addition to my design series. It's probably been a year since I added anything to this. So this is episode 5. Hopefully, I'll do more with this design series, including some ideas in designing my own curriculum, which I'm not so big about online courses anymore because there's failings, but I'll get to that afterwards. This is about the government. This is about the problems with government. Now, to understand the problems with government is we have to think about what do we want our government to do. And there are those people in government, mostly liberal Democrats, who think government is the be-all and end-all, that we can't do anything, that the government has to do it for us. But we know what a bunch of bull that is, because whenever the government gets involved in something, it always costs 5 times more, and it's mediocre. And why is this? Because there are too many cooks in the kitchen, with their own ideas on, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, and never thinking about the main thing the government should think about is how much is this going to cost our constituents. I know that program out there, it'll cost $1 billion in the next year, but it'll help our constituents. But maybe there's something better than that program. Maybe the private sector can do it better. The private sector did pretty well as far as the internet's concerned. Yeah, true, the government had an intranet that they were using to speak to themselves, and they probably still have a separate intranet, that's, like, here's the internet, and here's the intranet, the government intranet. Probably not, maybe it's connected in a few places. But I think the private sector did pretty well with the internet. It's grown worldwide. And it all started with a bunch of hobbyists in a garage or a hotel room, with the idea of they just wanted to make some free phone calls and just do some, communicate with people from other states without going through the phone company. Of course, we're still going through the phone companies, even though they've changed. They're cell phones now. Or if you're across the pond, they're mobiles. So, that was an example of what the private sector did for the internet. And one of the other big things that the private sector did is computers. Wasn't it Bill Gates' idea to have a computer in every every apartment, every home, and we have multiple computers. Some of us even have a Windows, some type of Linux device, whether it be Android or something, and a Mac. I really can't afford a Mac because they're just too expensive for someone who's low income, or actually no income right now. Well, very little income, low income. So, and they did pretty good. True, there were problems that came up. I mean, we know the problems that Microsoft had because they've all been public. We don't know the problems Apple has had because it really hasn't been public. I mean, things actually came out after the fact. But both companies dealt with it, fixed the problems in a cost-effective manner, and put out good pieces of equipment, good pieces of technology. So, I mean, there's something there with the private sector. And so when we, to design a new system, to design anything, we got to see what the problems are. And this is the problem with government right now in this administration. It's just too big, fat, and bloated. That it can't do anything. And you also have people who are polarized on either end who can't do anything. And a president that either wants the company to collapse, the country to collapse, wants this economic system to collapse, or he just really doesn't know what he's doing. One of the two. I just call them as I see them. And this is how I'm seeing the government being run. Very poorly. I mean, true, there are good people in there trying to get things done. Thinking about their their people that voted for them. Maybe we've never really given business a bigger play. Now, of course, businesses are also a little at fault at what's going on. People like to keep blaming the government, and the government trust me, is a very big part of the problems of government. But also another problem of government is businesses, because first of all, with what Obama said when he first came into office back in 2008, that we were in the worst recession since the Great Depression. So that was what he first said when he came into office. All this energy, all these hopes, all these dreams that people have, and he's saying, this is the worst recession since the Great Depression. So what do you do when things are tight? You pull back, you cut, you become smaller and smaller and smaller, until you're so small you can't do anything. Because, and you created this because you didn't trust in the abundance. You didn't have faith in your actions. That if you kept doing things, doing what you're doing, that you would keep getting money. Because see, one of the ways businesses could have gotten out of this recession sooner is to expand and go into other markets. And then they could shuffle their people around. People would get more training in other things on the job. And then as the economy picked up, they would have a bigger piece. It's kind of like when I used to do Amway. Those who done Amway or who are in Amway know what the plan is. Okay? You have yourself, and you're doing 200 points of business, and you get a certain percentage off that coming to you in a check every month. Now, by bringing more people, by signing more people up to Amway, and having them do 200, and having them either do 200 or more 200, because and they would be getting a check based on their volume, and you'd get a small percentage, maybe a percentage point based on their volume, plus what you get, and so on and so forth. Now, some people think it's a pyramid scheme, but it's really not, because if it was, it would have been shut down years ago, because it may look like a pyramid, and you're up here and you have all these people down here, but the person at the bottom could be making more money than you at the top, and that's what makes it not be a pyramid. It's just based on the amount of people, the amount of work you do, the amount of volume that flows through your business. So, anyways, or you could be equal to the person in the bottom. It just so, and to expand your business, you get more and more people. You go into other, and thinking of that Amway type of business. So you're up here, you're doing this, and then you get into another market, and maybe they get into another market, and pretty soon your business is, instead of this big, it's this big. So you may be making just a little bit of money coming through your thing, but when you're this big and making a little bit of money, and so when the economy picks up, you make more money. That's how I see my idea of economics and how the economy flows naturally. So if we were to be thinking about that, so I've explained problems with the government being government. I also explained the problems with the government being with business and them cutting all the time until they're so small they can't really do anything, that they themselves start relying on the government instead of being totally self-sufficient. And there's a lot of businesses that do rely on the government, and that connection should not be there. That government, those businesses should have nothing to do. This past election, there was a lot of money that went to actually both candidates. And even back in 2007, 2008, there was also a lot of money, mostly flowing into the Obama camp. Where do you think he was getting that money? Where do you think he was getting that money? And so, campaign. It's all become big, big money, So it's all about how big of a money you can make instead of actually thinking about the little guy on the end. And neither the government nor the business have been watching the big business anyways. Small businesses get screwed. They probably get screwed a little bit more. Middle-sized businesses get screwed, a little bit more too. But when you're not dealing with major lumps of money, and also the other problem with government and the economy is wages. I mean, $7.25. Can you live off of $7.25? Do your phone bill, your cable bill. Usually people making $7.25, they can't afford a house. They can barely afford an apartment if there's two people working. So 2 people working, $7.25, making a good amount, but they're always working. What happens to the kids? Where's the me time with the kids? We do work too much. We should have more time in our families and in our communities. That's the other solution to the problem. We have to build better communities where we can still make what we need to make to pay our bills, so the people who we make bills with can pay their bills, and so on and so forth in the giant chain of bills. Because we're all connected. Like the doctor who, spends all this money going to school and become a doctor. Same thing with a nurse. And then they get into practice, making a good amount of money. But then they're dealing with like insurance companies, and where they have to charge more to kind of get more back from the insurance companies. But then when you don't have insurance or can't afford insurance, you're, as a little guy, is still dealing with that. In the past, I've changed doctors since then, but in the past, before 2008, I had a doctor, and it only cost me $10 because I had insurance. But I lost that job, I got laid off, and that insurance went with it. And now that same doctor, instead of charging me $10 for a 15-minute office visit, charged me $200 for a 15-minute office visit, just to ask me a bunch of questions, check my vitals, maybe do a blood test. That's it. $200 for 15 minutes. Does that sound excessive? Does that sound a little bit excessive? Let's say Angry Birds. They charge about $2, $3, right around there for the game. And still a lot of people refuse to pay that small price. But what if they got people like hooked onto this Angry Birds and they raised the price to $50? It's the same thing. Businesses out there, grocery stores, that they just give their people minimum wage, $7.25 as of 2013, April 10th. Barely gives them enough money to live off of. And unless they have some type of employee discount, they won't shop at your own store. Or maybe, you do give employee discounts to employees, and that's probably your biggest customers, your employees. Seems something wrong there? how can you grow with that? You can only have so many customers. Because you have these employees going here, and then you have these employees going here. Two different ones growing up separately. But what if the employees got a little bit more, and then you truly had to compete, and help your neighbor. Not just compete, but helping your neighbors, your business neighbors. Because when it's more known on a main street or an Elm Street where you have businesses next to each other. And if one person goes in one business, they're liable to go into the other ones. So they're all in this together. It's that type of thinking that we need to change. We need to become a better community to get ourselves out of this. Stop relying on government. That's including business. Businesses should stop relying on government and just charge your people a fair wage. And have a true separation between business and government. Just as there is separation between government and religion, there needs to be an equal separation between government and business. So anyways, that's the problem of government and the solution. And I hope I gave you all some food for thought to continue thinking about. If you want to continue to talk about it in the comments down below, or on other YouTube videos, and actually if you do talk about other YouTube videos, put a link into this YouTube channel, or email me through YouTube. So I'd like to see that video. And maybe we can favorite each other's videos, or put each other's video in a playlist. I don't know. Possibilities are endless, especially when you're talking about social media. So anyways, thank you for watching and listening. And, think about what I said. Make some changes. Whatever changes you can make where you are. If we all do that, we all can, we'll get out of this. Thank you for watching. And stay creative in the magic of life. Thank you.